and this will be a fun event. It's happening Sunday, April 29th. It's the Bytown Antique and Vintage Show happening at the Nepean Sportsplex. With us right now from the Bytown Antique and Bottle Club, Laurin Garland. Nice to have you here.
And to be here, thank you very much. Difficult act to follow, but we'll do our best.
Well, you don't have to sing, okay? Maybe you can play into this.
All right.
Up in moments. Can you tell us how many years then this has been taking place, this show?
The show is in its 45th year now.
45 years.
Club's been around since a bit before that.
Wow. Okay.
I've not been doing the show for that long.
No? Okay.
It has that history.
So tell us about the Bytown Antique and Bottle Club.
Well, you'll see from the name, it started out as a club of people that were interested in collecting and preserving history, particularly to do with bottles. But that has expanded since then. And so, as you can see from some of the items here, we expanded into really the whole range of antiques.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, the word antique. Some people are curious to know what the true definition is nowadays, because we're in the year 2018, time is marching on. So what would be considered an antique?
It's an interesting point. There's some discussion among the community as to what that is, but I think a good guide is using 100 years to define an antique. So now we're looking at First World War vintage and previous for antique, and for vintage, probably 50 years.
50 years, okay.
Yeah.
Now, even though something might be 100 years old and it could be in horrific condition, is it still considered an antique, or when does it sort of bounder on like it's rubbish, it's no good for anything?
That's part of the discussion, and some people like to focus on the really exotic, very high-end pieces of furniture and so on, and won't recognize something that's not in really good shape as being antique. I don't think that that's a fair assessment. I think that antique, at least in my understanding of it, relates to age and not condition. Okay. Obviously, we prefer nice condition, but I don't think that defines the genre.
Okay, what are some of the most popular areas of antiquing?
Right now, as in many areas, there are trends that come and go. Right now, things like stoneware are very collectible.
So this right here would be considered stoneware?
Yeah, they're vessels made from clay, a very hard clay. Okay. And they were used around the house to store any kind of thing you want in this jug shape that would have been for a liquid, but there are open-top crocks that were used for butter and cream and anything you needed to store around the house.
Would you happen to know the age of this piece?
Yeah, that's from the late 1800s. The company that made that in Brantford was in business from 84 to 93, 1884.
And it's in such amazing condition all these years later. Okay, so what else would be popular?
Well, we have a few other things here. Really anything that was around the house. For example, this is a bank, child's bank, for collecting coins. Okay. And it's that same vintage, around 1890. Okay. Stoneware was also used for bottles, and this is from Ottawa, was for ginger beer. So you can imagine, you want to feel the weight of that.
Sure. That's pretty heavy.
Fill that with liquid. That was your, that was what you cooled off and relaxed with at the end of the day.
Well, you got to work out while you're drinking your ginger beer.
It was replaced by glass eventually, because these were recycled, and it's fascinating that we're now getting into recycling, but recycling was very common. This would have been returned to the manufacturer to be refilled. But you can't see how well it's been washed out.
No, okay.
And so when reasonably priced glass bottles came along, we no longer use stoneware.
Okay. And that piece on the end, that looks like, would that be kitchen, farm?
Kitchen.
That's kitchen, okay.
Kitchen. And if I may, I'll show you what it's for. It's for peeling an apple.
Peeling an apple.
You stick the apple on those prongs. There's a sharp blade right in here. Okay. As you turn the device, the blade comes around and clicks onto the back side of the apple. Wow. As the apple continues to spin, now it's peeled. The blade moves out of the way, and this lever pushes the apple off, and away you go again.
So amazing condition. What would the value be for an item like that?
Something like that is under $100, maybe $50 to $100.
Okay. Just over 2 minutes left, and I want to get to the details on the Bytown Antique and Vintage Show. So happening at Nepean Sportsplex, what can people look forward to?
Well, the range of items we have here, plus furniture, small furniture, none of the really big stuff, but lots of interesting furniture, paintings, this type of device here. It's free parking around, and
helps.
it's around the back.
Yeah.
So people who go to take their kids to hockey there will know where that entrance is.
Of course, Nepean Sportsplex.
Right around the back, Nepean Sportsplex.
Now, how many vendors would be on site for an event such as this? We see pictures from previous ones. Looks pretty busy.
Yes, we have currently over 55 tables with vendors coming, and we still have a few spare.
Okay.
So if anybody out there has antiques that they'd like to sell at that venue, then give us a call, ottawacollectors.com,
Okay.
or check us out on Facebook. Just search for the Bytown Antique and Vintage Show.
Now, if I had a piece that I would consider an antique, could I bring it in to have it appraised?
Absolutely. Any of the folks that are there, particularly club members, would be happy to see the device and try and give you as much information about it as they know. There's such a wide range of interest within the club and within the dealers that will be there that we should probably be able to answer just about any question.
Okay. Now, can people join up and be a part of the Bytown Antique and Bottle Club?
Certainly, if that's something you'd like. We have monthly meetings where people can bring items, treasures that they've found, and talk about them. So once again, direct to the website, all the information is there.
Where would the meetings take place?
They're in various members' homes, so we get a chance to look at the items that people have collected at the same time as having our meeting.
It sounds like a lot of fun. 9 to 3, Sunday, April
9 to 3,
29th.
indeed.
At the Nepean Sportsplex.
Yep.
Well, everybody knows the Nepean
Hope to see
Sportsplex.
I would hope so.
Okay. Bytown Antique and Vintage Show. Laurin Garland, thank you very much for joining us here today
Thank
on
you.
Daytime.
Appreciate it.
It's going to be a lot of fun at that amazing show. We've got more Daytime coming up right here on Rogers TV.